This is the GenAI Jam. I'm Darin Brown, a solutions engineer here at Dataiku.
And I'm Valentina Peña. I'm a data scientist here at Dataiku. And for today, I want to let you in on a little secret. Dataiku, for the last year, wink wink, has been planning a top secret Halloween bash coming up here in Atlanta in the next couple days. Now, even more secretly, in this pretend scenario, we ran one of these in our Paris office last year. And ever since, we've been secretly selling Halloween costumes in preparation for the big event. We've been looking at all the data science trends. Everybody wants to be Demis Hassabis, Jeff Hinton, maybe a random forest ranger.
Random forest ranger, Bayesian bandit.
There you go. And in preparation for the event that is coming up, we've been monitoring social media and figuring out what people want to dress up as, how things are going to sell, all of that song and dance. Now, in the last couple days, something absolutely crazy happened.
This is great.
We have been monitoring social media, as I mentioned, and a new wild trend emerged. Turns out the Nobel Prize Academy put out an announcement about a late in the game Nobel Prize that they had forgotten to award. And it was going to Dataiku's very own CEO and co-founder, Florian Duetto, for making everyday AI a reality for everybody and creating a platform that would enable that.
So, you know what that means, Valentina?
What do you think?
We got to make a Florian costume.
Oh, God. How are we going to do that?
I don't know. Actually, though, is that even a good idea? What do we think?
You got to give people what they want. If they want AI, you give AI. If you want Florian, you give Florian.
But can we check the trends?
Yeah, absolutely. So to help us enable this whole process that we've been monitoring, we have in Dataiku what we call workspaces, which allows people to bring together information about different assets that all contribute to a same project. As you can see, it can be a data set, it can be a dashboard, it can even be a deck, kind of like the one that we were just in.
Right.
So why don't I walk you into the dashboard that we've been using for this event. As you can see, we have information about the tweets that have been out there on social media. You'll see that there's a publication putting out costume ideas for data nerds. You'll see some hashtags about Florian as well. We also have our weekly metrics here. You can see that we have 25 individual costumes that are being mentioned, 6 public figures. That's about 15.5 thousand tweets talking just about Atlanta. Wow. And then emerging trends, that one bright red, 161. That is way more than we budgeted for.
It's a lot of chatter about this fake event.
So looking at what we expected in terms of the trend graph, we'd thought that maybe we'd be getting 3 a day. That's kind of what our team could prep for. But you see that that really spiked over the last couple days, and now it's almost off the charts. When you look at the tweets themselves, you'll see that Florian really is the one that is getting the most mentions. And you can see that in our word cloud here as well. Everyone's talking about Dataiku, Halloween, obviously, but also Florian right there front and center.
OK, this is awesome. But this is pretty static data. Like, how can I dig into this a little bit?
Yeah, so I also have a nifty little web app, and this is all built in Dataiku, no code, believe it or not, that lets us ask questions directly of our data. So why don't we ask it, for example, again, just to validate what the most common costume or public figure in our tweets is. And if you see this Use Snowflake button at the bottom, that's what's letting us tap into our very data. So what this is doing on the back end is essentially generating a SQL query so we can get that information back.
Wow. Well,
why don't we ask it something about kind of how many tweets are around Florian?
Yeah, there you go.
OK. How many tweets mention Florian Duetto? Let's see. This one might take another second. It's having to regenerate that SQL query. But in the meantime, we can look at the one above. So you'll see a select statement. It's looking into the costume or person. It's doing that count. And it's pointing to a very specific data set. You'll see, now that we have this, we have 39 tweets mentioning Florian just himself.
Dude, this is super cool. So, OK, do you care if I jump into the project? I want to see how you made all this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what Dataiku is all about. Let's go ahead and do some collaboration.
It's about collaboration. All right, let's see what's going on here. All right, we're on.
Oh, sorry, that might be there.
Which way is it?
Oh, I think it might be right here. Awesome.
We have changed things up here. Sorry about that.
There you go.
All right. Okay, so I see your Twitter analysis zone. Okay, so you're starting out with some tweets. See? We can see we've got a lot of tweets and hashtags. It's great. All right, I'm gonna go back to the flow. All right, so just quickly looking at this, we're running these tweets through a prompt recipe, and then you're probably cleaning it up with the prepare recipe, and then back through a prompt recipe. So let's take a quick peek at what's going on here. So from what I understand, these prompt recipes let me ask an LLM, give it a task, and then it will generate a response for me. So what is the task here?
Yeah, so this first one is basically just figuring out whether a tweet is talking about a generic costume. Again, maybe that random forest ranger.
It's like a costume or a person, right?
Exactly.
All right. So, okay, so I can see here I can select what LLM I can use. Now, how did you come to this prompt? Did you just like know this off the bat? Because we know LLMs can be kind of finicky.
Oh yeah.
And need a little massaging. So how did you go about this?
Absolutely. If you see that button on the top right where you can build this in the prompt studios, that's my tool of choice. And there you can test out different prompts, different models. You can even get a preview of how much it might cost. And it's a really great sandbox for putting something like this together.
Oh, this is great. Okay, so I see you tested a couple prompts. We got our data sets. We ran some examples. In the smallest font possible, we can actually compare how much these things cost. So it looks like you tried this with GPT 4o Mini and GPT 4o. It cost about the same.
Yep.
So, all right.
You got to test stuff out.
Test stuff out. All right. We're going to jump back in just to kind of understand what's going on here. All right. So the first prompt is getting me whether we're talking about a costume or a person. I'm assuming we're just using prepare to clean that up and get the answer, the structured answer out of the LLM. Then what's the next prompt? It looks like if I could double click into it, we're trying to understand if this is a trend or an event. And I just messed up. Here we go.
Yeah, so basically this one is looking for whether someone is just expressing an opinion, like I'm so excited to go to a Halloween party, or if it's mentioning something like a specific event, something that is important in the context of time. So breaking news, something that's upcoming, that kind of thing.
That's great. So your people aren't just rummaging through tweets, categorizing this. You're using LLMs.
Oh, no.
Right,
no one's got time for that.
All right. That's pretty cool. And then, so we've got a lot of more cleanup and probably some aggregation for your dashboard. Okay, but that alert, how did you build out the alert? I mean, it's automated, so how did you go about that?
Yeah, if you scroll over to the right a little bit, you'll see that we have a flow zone specifically setting up that automation. So here we're doing a little bit of windowing, we'll do a little bit of cleaning, and it's basically letting us know how those trends are tracking it, specifically the count of trends.
Now, you mentioned this earlier, and I'm noticing it. There's no code in this, so this is all right.
Yeah, and if you jump into something like our data quality metrics, you can actually see that alert that I set up and essentially what it's calculating.
Okay, so on the data set, you calculated a metric to the trigger if the trend goes over a certain amount?
Absolutely.
All right, so now we've got a metric being calculated over if this is a trending event. And then I'm assuming, because I know a little bit about Dataiku, that you're using a scenario
oh, absolutely.
to send you a message, right?
You know it.
All right, let me find that. Okay. Oh, new trend alert. All right, here we go. So we got a trigger. So every day you get an alert.
Yep.
And then we send a Slack message. This is great.
Oh, yeah. You can connect it to anything you want. Make sure that your teams get all of these alerts and these messages right where they need them.
All right. So that's great. Without code, we're parsing through tweets. We're figuring out what these trends are. And then we're getting an alert. But like, our next step is if we're going to sell like a Florian costume, what should we sell? How much should we sell it for? And how many units do you think we'll sell?
Yeah, I actually have a model for that. Let me find it for you.
Oh, man. It's kind of crazy how prepared you are.
It's almost like we set this up.
Almost.
So if you look into this flow zone right here, you'll see that we have some information about those costume sales that we've collected for the last year, ever since our first event in Paris. And you'll see that we've built a model on top of it, along with a scoring recipe that lets us predict exactly how much is going to sell based off of different costume attributes. If you look into that first data set, you'll see that we're looking into things. Oh, you can also see it there. That's fine. You'll see that we're checking for, is this a costume related to ML and stats, which might be a little bit more old school, or is it a hot topic like AI? Is it going to be a full body costume? Is it just an accessory? And then also, what does it cost?
I see you've made a couple models.
Mm-hmm. Never works on the first try.
Never works on the first try. It's kind of like live demos. All right. Okay, so we've got a model here. I think always go to the feature importance first. Mm-hmm. So it says costume type, date, price. These are all really important to our model. This is fantastic. But there's a lot going on here, Valentina. Like for the typical, the business guys, they're not going to rummage through all these model stats. How are we presenting this out?
Yeah, no, that's a good call. I actually narrowed it down a little bit in the dashboard that we were looking at earlier. So we actually have a subset of these ready to tell our story. So as you can see, we've been tracking these costume trends and how they sell over time. You can see the minimum price and the maximum price of everything we have historically. In this quantity sold per day, you'll see that drop on 2. That's a Sunday. We like to give our employees a day off. You'll see again that callback to the costume type and which ones are most popular. Okay. Same down here. You'll see that AI and ML are really outranking data and stats in terms of sales, and also in terms of how they sell per month. Makes sense that it's a steady ramp up towards October, and then after Halloween, everyone forgets about it for another year.
Yeah, okay, all right.
On top of that, we also have some extracts from our model, which you were just in. Okay. So that wonderful feature importance you can also find right here. We have some partial dependence that tells you how different variables relate to your prediction. So this one tells us a little bit about day of the week. And then my absolute favorite part down here, which is our what if analyzer. It helps us basically create different scenarios for different models and test out predictions live.
This is what people care about. Mm-hmm. All right, so we can understand our model. We know we can even play with it and see how it's working. Now, for our problem though. Mm-hmm. What price are we doing here for the Florian costume?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we can use this other web app that we also built on the back end. And this is, again, surfaced entirely without code to our users, so no freaking anybody out. And this allows them to essentially figure out the optimal price for a new, different costume on the market. So let's say with our Florian costume.
That's going to be an AI costume.
There you go. That's the one. And then for the price range, Halloween's really coming up. I don't know if people want to spend like a big ticket item. So why don't we set it down to $39.99, discounted option, or maybe it's all the rage. We can also set it top of the line, $69.99.
Nothing but the best for Florian.
Only but the best for Florian. So what this is doing on the back end is essentially using that model that we trained and testing a wide range of prices in this range that we just set, and basically figuring out how those are going to sell based off of that feature. And obviously we know that that matters because ultimately it's going to impact our profits. So that's really what we want to hone in on. Ooh. So from what you can see here, we have a nice little highlight of the price that renders our highest level of profit, and a little summary at the bottom. Looks like $44.99 is the ticket.
$44.99. All right, for a Florian costume. This is great. Okay, I think we've got the pieces now that we can go to our C-suite and present our idea for the Florian Halloween costume.
Sounds good.
We probably need to put some slides together.
Yeah, will you help me?
Yeah, let's do this.
So new and exciting Dataiku feature, for those of you who may not have seen it before, is Dataiku Stories. This is our new homegrown slide deck that you can build inside the tool itself without ever having to leave Dataiku. Okay. So let's start with our first slide. What should we build? Well,
we should probably talk about those trends that we found. Mm-hmm. So we should talk about that, AI is really popular.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Florian's trending.
Wonderful. So we have this functionality called Story AI that lets us leverage an LLM on the back end to build slides and charts on the fly. You just have to connect in specific data sets, and Dataiku does the rest. So we're going to go ahead and ask for a bar chart with the top 5 most retweeted costumes. Again, the first half of that intuition bit.
Yeah.
And you'll see this is starting to generate right here for us. Hopefully, this gives us a nice little bar chart just like we asked.
Oh. What happened to the bar chart?
Let's try that one more time.
It did it and then took it away.
Yeah. With LLMs, you never know. They're kind of like a toddler. You can ask what you want, but sometimes it doesn't always pan out. There we go. Wonderful. So you'll see that our top mentioned costumes are paranormal distributions, that random forest ranger, AI secret agents, data miners, and pandas. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. What else should we ask for?
Probably should.
How about we do the most mentioned people in those tweets?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, that I forgot my line.
All right, let's give it a go. So here, we're going to ask for a pie chart with the top 3 most retweeted people. All right, so you'll see, unsurprisingly, that we have
There it is. It's
Jeffrey
Florian.
Hinton, Demis Hassabis, and Florian, again, taking the cake. All right. So
I think we have enough evidence to prove that we need to make a Florian costume. Now we probably just need to show,
there we go.
show the executives the pricing information.
Yeah, that sounds great.
That makes sense. So
So I'm going to go ahead and also ask for a bar chart that shows us exactly how that pricing optimization model worked. And this is hopefully going to give us a sense of what those optimal prices are for those profits. There you go. So let's see if I can ask it to
not a bar chart.
Convert this into a bar chart. Again, LLMs always take a little bit of work on the prompting.
Yeah.
There you go. Wonderful. So you'll see that in terms of ranked order, we have that $44.99 that is just by a hair more profitable than $49.99. But we'll take our wins where we can get them.
This is great. Wow, that was really easy.
Yeah. So just like that, we've got an exec-ready deck all set for presentation.
I don't know about exec ready, but we're close.
Fair enough. So audience, what do you think? Should we sell a Florian costume? Who wants to dress up like him this Halloween?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So I think it's time for a break for everybody for the next 30 minutes. If you want to join us at the demo booth, you can learn more about how we put this demo together. Otherwise, we'll see you back in here in 30.